Good afternoon and welcome to episode 2 in our series of Light Pixels Insights. I'm joined today by Jackson, our technical director, and we're going to be talking about the future hybrid immersive experiences. Before we do that, for those of you that weren't with us last month, you're watching this through our hybrid platform Extend. So just a little bit about the platform. So at the bottom of the screen, there's a little square. If you click on the square and go full screen, then there's a little thumb that you can like content. If you see other thumbs, that's just other people pressing that button. And then there's a little question tab at the bottom where, guys, please put some questions in, ask us anything you want about what you see or generally about light and pixel technology. So what's different about Extend this month is we've now been able to take control of the experience that you're in. So if Matt now takes us to the back of the stage, you can see that we're controlling a virtual camera within the space, and we can turn on and off the targets around the space, and then zoom and move you through. Obviously, we've just got a very simple sort of virtual camera on a track at the moment, but that camera could be flying you through to all sorts of different worlds. We could also take you to a different stage or a different world. We're not going to do that now, but if you were in a different world just beforehand and you got brought here, that's because we were taking control of the live experience. So I think that's it on the platform for now. Obviously, if you've got any questions or anything about the platform, please put them into the feed. And let's get on to the topic of today's conversation. So the future hybrid immersive experiences. COVID-19 has destroyed, I guess, the events and the experiential game as we knew it. But there is a sense in its re-emergence that digital experience is going to come back in a much brighter, bolder, richer and more digitally connected way. So same format as last month. It's going to be 20 minutes max, guys. We're going to do a bit on then and now. Then we're going to do hybrid immersive experiences part 1, then part 2, and then we're going to talk a little bit about wireless buildings and exciting new technology that we're working with in that space. So, then and now. Buzzwords that we used to be talking about were frictionless and contactless, but 2020 has added a whole new vocabulary to these language. So we've got touchless, catchless, crowdless, socially distant, the list goes on. Anyway, we're going to look at 3 cool innovations from others in our field that we really like as examples of the industry adapting. So firstly, we're going to talk about replacing people with pixels. So on the left, we've got wireless wristbands and what we used at the ISL experience last year. And on the right, we've got wireless pixels that pack enough punch to light up a stadium. And as mentioned, in 10 minutes time, we're going to look at how this technology could be used on buildings and skylines. So we're going to take a quick look at this video now.
So obviously these improvements are thanks to the increased number of pixels that we can run. We can now do 100,000 simultaneous lights with a far greater brightness, which makes it much easier for filming and broadcast. And all with a reduced setup time because they're Wi-Fi based instead of infrared based.
Yeah, and it's also worth noting as well that each of these pixels, if you were holding them in the sense of a torch, for example, can be interactive. So you can be voting with them or controlling the experience in some other way. So big leap forward there, and technology we're really looking forward to working with. So moving on now to indoor, outdoor. So before we've got the Van Gogh exhibition, which was indoor in Paris, and now we've got the Van Gogh exhibition, which is outdoor in Wellington, New Zealand. And while we're sharing this, we kind of love this example of using shipping containers as a really durable, quick, big, cheap, stable, weatherproof, outdoor experience canvas. We've got lots of clients at the moment trying to transition their experiences from what used to happen indoor into outdoor. And we just like sharing this as an example of awesome immersive experience design and how it's adapting in the current climate. So next, we'll have a look at this technology. If you haven't seen it before, it's awesome. It's the touchscreen that you don't touch, made by a company called FreeTouch. And the use of phone to control experiences has always been a bit problematic with local area networks, etc. But this is really one of the main changes that we've seen and is here to stay. There's so much more you can do with a phone than with your finger. So let's have a look at this video here.
A thing to note in this video is the use and prevalence of QR codes in public spaces. Their acceptance for table orders and their use for web page links has furthered our goal of reducing friction and minimising contact. Also to add, if you have any questions regarding the tech in this presentation, then please do ask them on the Extend platform and we'll answer them at the end.
Cool, so I'm not sure who'd seen that technology, but I think it's launching literally now, or in October this year. So now on to the first part of hybrid immersive experiences, and we're going to start by looking at the Garden of Light experience that we produced last year for MacArthur Glen. This is an amazing interactive world that we created. Interestingly, it was all gesture controlled, the floor was interactive and there were interactive waterfalls. They didn't actually require touch, so I don't think we changed anything about that part of the design. But we do see a big rise in this type of experience, particularly in the retail sector. So we want to have a look at how we might approach that now. So first, let's start off with how it's promoted, because immersive experiences in the past have typically been promoted online using videos, photos, etc., and don't really capture much of the immersive experience when you're there. So there was no ability to explore and little direct opportunity to perhaps book or purchase or book a slot whilst exploring. I think today more than ever this is important because of not everyone who looks is going to be able to visit immersive experiences. So we see a much bigger reliance on the digital experience before you actually get to the in real life immersive experience. And it's the moment with the brand and the story, so let's make it count. So here we look at how that might look on in today's world. So we've got a fresh 360 online immersive experience using something like the 360 feed we demonstrated last month. You can explore it on your phone in 3D. You might be able to choose between different camera views, see people enjoying the experience. And then of course with Extend we can geolocate the viewer of that experience. And if they're local, there might be a direct call, say you're only 30 minutes away, come and visit us. Or if they're 10,000 miles away, it might make the presumption that they're very unlikely to come and visit the experience. But how about they get an opportunity to donate, which is one of the key drivers in that experience, was to donate money to a local hospice to help children in need in their local area. So when you get to the experience and you're at the shopping mall, you might see something where it says the number of people who are in the experience and how busy it is. So you see there's 20 visitors there, so you make your way there. When you arrive, you might scan your QR code like you might do at the airport and enter through automatic doors. Of course, you're in and you're counted. And then when you're in, I think this is where you get the kind of the most magical use of technology. Because we're tracking people, objects, and skeletons effectively, the experience can know how close you are to other people, and then we can start adapting the experience around you. It could be a circles pop up, or the content could disappear around you, encouraging you to go and explore a different part of the experience. So now we're going to have a look at hybrid immersive experiences part 2, and we're going to look at the rapid development of AR and immersive experience and how COVID is fusing them together. And this is all about delivering not just higher consumer engagement, but longer consumer engagement, and specifically about the kind of economies in using the content both in the augmented world and in the sort of physical immersive experience, so looking at the economies through working across that whole journey. And a quick note here out to David from Encore Reality. We're working with those guys on a lot of our AR development at the moment, and hopefully he might be able to join us next month. So Jackson's going to talk us through some of these AR platforms and approaches.
Thanks, Tom. So as we mentioned earlier, the QR codes are predominantly used for sharing of web links, and they enable us to guide our users to the web AR or the app clip. The technology in this example is what we call planar recognition, and it uses the floor plane and generic features in the environment to track and place AR objects. This is interesting for us because we can use it to sell a product that isn't actually even there.
Yeah, and or we could be extending that a bit like in the Garden of Light example. So we could be growing giant flowers through the floor, or we could be using this table as a planar surface and making content pop up on the table.
In this example, we're referring to them as stealth markers. They are markers that are hidden in the physical artwork. They allow for accurate location-based AR overlays to emerge, intersect, and occlude with the physical world. This type of recognition is scale independent, and we can build large format AR experiences as shown in this mural.
And again, thinking about that in a sort of a direct example, of course, this could be a projection show, and therefore you could have augmented content coming off the building, taking over the sky, or any other of 1,000 different combinations with that.
Exactly.
Okay, so now we're going to look at the project that we produced for Dubai for Expo in the Terminal 3 Arrivals Hall. A completely different type of immersive experience to Garden of Light. Here we've got a free-flowing audience. We've got inevitable cues. It's daylight visible. It couldn't be more different. And so at grassroots level, we've looked at some sort of cool applications of some innovations. But where do they sit in the immersive experience design, and how could we elevate this experience through today's lens? So we installed roughly 2,000 tensor barriers, I think, around the airports. But the problem of queuing now becomes the start of the experience. So what's different about queuing now? You know, you're separated from others. You're able to see, a little bit more able to think, and free from others looking at your phone. So the QR code can take you to a new world. So here we see the example that butterflies might fly off the tensor barrier onto your phone. As you move the phone around, you follow the butterflies. You can then play with the butterflies as an overlay all the way through the installation as you move through. And of course, then it can see that you're interacting and you're exploring and you're having fun. So a pop-up might jump up. Do you want to learn more? Informational overlays, educational overlays, calls to action, opportunities to purchase tickets, whatever it may be. But then, of course, this is the extension of it all, is that you can still then take that experience home and then share it. You can play with the butterflies in your hotel room and use your phone on the table to sort of play around and make them land on the furniture and interact with the space around you. And so I think it's when we start bringing all these ideas together, this is where we begin to see the future. It's this sort of world of hybrid immersive experiences, a fusion of light and pixel technology from the very moment you find out about the experience all the way through to taking that AR experience home and sharing it with your friends. And there's one seamless content journey and content production pipeline all the way through those different channels. Okay, so some final bit of inspiration and insights. We're going to look at wireless buildings. Earlier we saw what we could do with wireless pixels to transform empty stadiums or stadiums with crowds in them when they come back. But what else could we do with them? And this is a little design innovation that we're working on at the moment. So looks super simple, but we're designing a simple suction device to quite literally take wireless pixels to new heights. And we can use them either inside or outside the building. So here we can see the Shard adorned in wireless pixels. What's cool about this? I mean, there's less reliance on internal lighting conditions. It can be really quick to deploy by rope access teams. We don't need a location opposite to set up projection equipment. And they could be obviously battery powered, possibly even charged by solar. And of course, it's unique, cool, unseen. What else is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the great thing about these units, they emit light directly, unlike a projection show, which is reliance on the reflected light of the projection. So this all leads to greater skyline visibility because you can see this for miles. And it's just another way for us to create a temporary digital landmark and enable stealth markers for AR.
And then, of course, we can condense these down and we can start building shapes out of them. And those shapes could be logos, it could be the Nike swoosh, it could be any other marker. We could use them to trace the outline of a building, or we could use them on other buildings around a central projection and lighting show. I think the potential with this technology is endless, and we're really excited to see where we can start putting wireless pixels. Okay, so guys, we're in our immersive showroom at the moment, and we just want to show you a little bit of a hint of what to expect if you come on a visit to see us. Here we've got a few examples of the International Swimming League, and Wonderball, the work that we did with Bounce. We're still doing meetings and presentations in Kentish Town in the dark. But what Matt's going to do now is going to pull you slightly backwards in the extended world. And you should notice on the right-hand side a target popping up. And if you click on that and hit send, then that should bring you or request a trip to the showroom, and we'll work out a time where it's not too busy in here and you can see some of the content, spatial audio examples for yourself.
So okay. Yeah, if you don't want to stick around for the questions, then please just play with the rest of the targets and extend and explore the different worlds and links that are available.
Super. So let's go to the questions. Okay, so can you do multicolor images with this? I presume we're referring to the wireless pixel technology. Yeah, all of the LEDs are RGB colored, and so you can create well, simple colored backgrounds.
Millions of colors, I'd assume. Yeah.
Millions of colors, yep. Simon said, can you use walls and floors for the AR?
Oh yeah, so well with the planar technology we're talking about, yeah, you can do that, but it's all camera-based. So the recent developments with LiDARs being included in phones, like possibly in the iPhone 12, that will mean the next gen of devices will have a real 3D understanding of the world around them, you know, which is not that dissimilar to trackers and markers, but just a much more built-in integrated solution. So yes, definitely we can use walls and floors.
And also, yeah, we could use the markers, as you say, on the floors to kind of bring that to life. Guys, there's quite a few questions in here about Extend. So how many people can we have on Extend? Guys, at the moment, Extend, you might have noticed, is running through the YouTube as the CDN or the Content Delivery Network. So as it's running on YouTube, you can have I suppose, a near infinite number of viewers. It could be 1 to 5 or 10 million people at no additional cost, which is what's kind of cool about using YouTube as a platform. And there's another question, is this technology available in Dubai, the LED suction for buildings, and what quantity do we have in stock? It will be available in Dubai. Obviously, we've got a Dubai office, and those guys will be able to help out. We haven't got quantity in stock yet, but I think we can work around about a 12-week lead time on that. Is there an optimum QR code coming forward that's offering better experience? And what is the quality tech level required to do that? I suppose that's a whole question about the kind of the size of the QR marker and how small we can make it on the platform.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we can go quite small, as you can tell if you're in a pub or something like that. In a bar, they're quite small. They're very like little stickers essentially, but you can do them building scale as well. So they're really highly scalable things.
Yeah. And of course, so it doesn't have to be a QR code. We could use the stealth markers. So in theory, the web app is looking for a butterfly in the scene or something that doesn't look like a QR app. Richard, can you guys indicate the battery life of the suction LED technology? It's about 50 hours. So if it went up on a building, by the time you've done rehearsals, etc., you can probably get about a week's worth of shows out of it. So a reasonably long time. Guys, I think, again, just more questions coming through on cost, talking about wireless pixels compared to traditional pixels. Guys, any questions on cost? I think it's easy if we come back to you afterwards. Cool. Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much. That's pretty much our time slot for today. And so next time, we're going to be talking about our flying pixel technology and drone shows. We've got our first tests happening in the UK this weekend, which will be exciting to share. And so until then, thanks for joining us and goodbye.